PST? Yeah.
Yep. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Lord, I'd like to enter into this in the spirit of grace and gratitude. Thank you for the life of Dave and bless his marriage with David. Bless Sage and her new and forthcoming nuptials, and Jillian, whatever her amazing deal is. And I can only imagine there's a very powerful and well-grounded man on the other side of that endeavor that he is supported too. Lord, bless us and let's enter this into a spirit of fun. Thanks for the production team. And thank you, Lord. May all glory be directed towards you. We pray this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And away we go. And Jillian, I want to find out more about your husband later.
Poor Russell's going to get smashed with that, too. Russell, I'm gay. I'm married to a woman. So you're going to...
That makes even more sense.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I got to,
And I'm married to a man, so it all sort of balances itself out here.
I got a brother and a business partner. I got a 13-year-old son. They all count. Of course, we just lost Sage, too. Thank God it's not live. This is like an amazing shot to be frozen on, by the way.
Lesbian, Russell, lesbian.
Hey, I don't judge people. I don't see color and I don't see sex.
Russell, you were quite right about the strange racial dynamic over at the Gasparilla Inn, and every moment you're there, it becomes like more and more bizarre.
Yes, it's difficult to deny that there is a sort of a near 100% white customers, black staff.
Jillian, have you ever been to this place, Gasparilla Island?
No.
So it's Southwest Florida. That's where Tucker lives, actually. And the Gasparilla Inn is like their like elite place. And I just did this event there last night, and the staff was 100% black, and the clientele was 100% white. It was like to the point that it was like extremely bizarre, extremely
uncomfortable. Yeah, you're like, okay,
yeah.
Weird.
And the logo of the hotel is Florida the way it's supposed to be.
No.
All right, people of the internet, this is the debut episode of the Actual Friends podcast. I'm Dave Rubin. I've brought along some of my actual friends, real human beings in places and conditions that you normally wouldn't see them. Most of these people, all of these people actually need no introduction. But of course, I have Sage Steele and Russell Brand and Jillian Michaels with me. And before I have everyone chime in, basically, we all realized that we need more podcasts. Is there anything that people are talking about more? We just need more content and more talking heads in boxes to do things. And we were like, you know what, let's do it. But really what put this together was we are actual friends. And there are a million shows online right now and on TV where they just throw these people together and they put them at a table and they get the cameras rolling, and these people don't like each other. It's making everything more hysterical. We are not only we all actually friends, but we've all broken bread with each other. We know each other's kids. We've spent time in each other's homes, and we really do love each other. And I was like, let's just start something that feels a little different, a little bit of politics, a little bit of culture, a little silliness, a little ridiculous, a little personalness, no makeup. We're all not in studio right now. And that's what brought us all together. And I'm thrilled to be working with three of my favorite people on the planet. Sage, why don't we start with you? Because you don't look like you're in a studio right now. You look like you have a heavenly backdrop behind you. What's going on? Where are you, lady? What's going on in your life?
Honestly, if this were the background to my home, then you should not be friends with me, because this is so ugly. I'm in a very nice hotel in Phoenix, Arizona, getting ready to tape a couple episodes of my show, Sage Steele Show. I'm super excited about that. And my 22-year-old recent college graduate daughter is in bed behind me. That's all her crap behind me, too. So this is a judge-free zone, right?
Are you sharing a bed with your daughter? Is that the level of hotel stay you're doing?
I wanted to, because I like to spoon with my little girl, but she's like, Mom, I'm out. So we have two queens.
Very good. And Russell Brand, where are you? You are not in your fancy studio today.
I'm here just lurking in front of these pastel colors. Two queens, of course, the perfect description of Jillian Michaels' domestic life. In spite of our friendship, I didn't know that she's a gay woman married to a woman, because her bio on X does not say I am a prominent lesbian. And I'd like you to amend that immediately before any more people are misled, Jillian.
Yeah, it
How
should
many
say
more
full-blown
peptides are you going
lesbian.
to fully
Listen,
blown? You can't blow up any more.
I
You
don't
can't get any more
like labels.
lesbianism.
I don't like labels. I do. So, guys, Russell,
Put it in the bio, lesbian.
I know that my whole generation was about getting rid of labels. So I don't make a thing of it. I don't talk about it. It doesn't matter to me one way or another with regard to what I do in the world. And Russell was
It
kind enough to
matters.
say,
It matters. You're the only lesbian left in America. Rosie O'Donnell, Ireland. Ellen DeGeneres, England. But she might be coming back. Jillian, staying true to the United States of Sappos. You're a lesbiana.
She's holding the fort. She's
oh
holding the
my God,
fort
do
down for the
not
lesbos.
put me in a category with those two lunatics. I'm sorry, I can't.
You're,
That is
you're
not
in the
fair. These
category
are
of
fighting
lesbian.
words.
That is
Off
the
the
category
top,
you're in.
Russell. Gosh, now I'm mad.
And
Well,
Jillian,
now you know. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
Well, outside of being married to a woman, not that there's anything wrong with that. Where are you? What are you doing right now? What's going on?
I'm actually at my mom's in Los Angeles. There's some family stuff going on. My 13-year-old is downstairs homeschooling. I'm sure he'll find his way up. I don't know if you heard that. He just screamed hello. If you want to pop up and say hi, you can real quick, and then don't do it again. He literally loves to photobomb all of my interviews that are at home.
So great.
And it's the worst. Okay, honey, come on over. They can't hear you, but you can say hi. This is actually my Phoenix.
Oh, you have a
my
Phoenix.
This is my friend Sage and Russell and Dave. Okay, now get out of here and go. Okay, sorry.
Okay, now
so my
wait.
little one's actually home today.
Does he know that you're a lesbian? Has he been informed?
He's like, who is that other
Let
chick?
him know. It's not in the bio.
Sweetheart, Russell wants to know if you know that I'm gay. Say it again. He doesn't know that I'm gay, actually. It's we'll talk about it later.
See? Misleading.
Thank you, Russell.
So great.
Got to be clear.
I'm already sweating. Hold on. Okay. Go downstairs. You see what he does? I swear to God, honey, that's good. Pumpkin.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the point of this show. We want you guys to kind of just see us outside of the studio, like being normal people. Yeah, we're going to do some politics and we're going to do some of the other stuff. But that is the point. We are going to take all of Jillian's children and find out what they know about her. I should mention that I'm actually at my parents' place in Southwest Florida, and they're off a little lake here, and an alligator just went by. So that's the life that I'm living right now with my pastel pelicans and all that stuff. So, all right. So let's just dive in. We'll start with something political, because politics seems to be the thing that's everyone's obsessing over all the time. Joe Biden. Do you guys remember Joe Biden? He's back. He did his first real interview since leaving office, and I don't want to lead this too much, but it did not go particularly well.
Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered. We left at a time when we had a good candidate. She was fully funded. And what happened was, I had become, what we had set out to do, no one thought we could do. And become so successful on our agenda, it was hard to say, no, I'm going to stop now.
Guys, I'm sort of past the point where I feel bad for him. You know, it was always like we had to make these qualifications because these types of things could happen to all of us, or it's happened to our parents or grandparents. To me, it now seems like they're purposely putting him out there as insult to injury for the rest of the Democrats. Like, he's really actually, for whatever's left in his brain, him or Jill, they're kind of pissed at the way Kamala threw him out. And now it's like, oh, I'll get back out there again to look terrible, so these idiots will look like frauds for having supported me the whole time. Is that crazy? Is that a crazy theory, Russell Brand? What do you think?
I can't believe that he would be employing such a deliberate stratagem when the campaign was so chaotic. I reckon this is just a further indication of his decline into senility. What troubles me more, Dave, is seeing the likes of Joe Scarborough, Rachel Maddow, and the acolytes of Biden that were propping him up during that campaign, saying, "Well, there was no way we could have known. We were deceived. We were deceived." It was obvious to anybody at all that what was happening. And now the idea that if you can be deceived by that, you don't belong in the news game.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, I should mention that one of the little gimmicks that we're doing for this show is that each one of us is going to be the moderator. So we're all going to take turns. I'm starting, and then I'll kick it to Sage, and she'll kick it to Russell, and he'll kick it to Jillian, and we'll do that in different orders and all things. So I just happen to be starting today. Yeah, Sage, did you see that moment a couple days ago where Jen Psaki on MSNBC said that she had never seen any sign of problems until debate night? And it's like, lady, are we all wizards? That's what I always say on my show. Am I a wizard? Did I come from the future and I could see all these things?
As if she had any credibility remaining, it is now officially gone because she's either stupid or just a liar. And maybe it's a combination of both. It is so disappointing to me. And at this point, just own it. That's what the problem has been. Like, if you guys just show some contrition and some accountability, maybe that's a good first step, the Democratic Party, to get back to any sense of respect coming from the American public. In that interview, by the way, the senility we were reminded over again, just listening to his heavy breathing.
Yeah.
But also when he talked about how much success they had. Success. Tell me how. Give me one example of success. But I think it's so telling as to how poor of a team that they continue to choose to have around them. What is their goal by putting him out there? Like, why?
Great question.
Yeah.
Actual great question. That's exactly what I thought the minute I got sent that clip is, why? Why would you do this? I'll tell you, though, the one thing he said that's absolutely true is, I really don't believe that it mattered. I don't think that she was going to get elected, whether he withdrew earlier or later. And the fact that he withdrew later is what facilitated her nomination in the first place.
Mhm.
And you know something? I was just talking to Dave Smith, and he pointed this out, and I thought it was brilliant. He's like, when they chose Obama, they had to get somebody that didn't outshine him. And that's when we got Biden. And then we had to do the exact same thing with Biden. Like, who wouldn't outshine Biden? No, I know. Kamala. And then we went all the way down to Tim Walz. And he's like, the lineage of idiocracy. It's just this slow descent into, complete pathetic. Anyway, I don't think it would have mattered. But I don't know why they've trotted him out there, Sage. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it really is a race to the bottom. That's why I kind of was I was watching it thinking, man, are they just putting him out here to insult these people further? Because it just makes Psaki look more ridiculous. Sage, you're so right. It's like, Psaki, if you had any integrity, just say, yeah, actually, when I was working for him, I did notice he needed notes a little bit more. For your own spiritual journey, you would try to be a little more honest. But guys, believe it or not, 2 nights ago, I spoke at the Biden Center for Public Policy at the University of Delaware. Here I am standing outside of the Center for Black Culture. I don't know why we decided to take the picture there, but they have that center. And,
particularly as you look like the world's whitest ever person in that image.
Why is that white guy taking a picture outside of the Center for Black Culture?
You might as well have been wearing a Klan outfit.
So I get invited.
The uniform of the white man.
And I got to tell you, you guys do as many gigs as I do. You get these strange invites sometime. And I got this invite and I was like, are they going to kidnap me or drug me or what? But I have to say, we did a great event there. It was really in the spirit of free speech. But look at this. If you think that the DEI thing at colleges are dead, when I was walking over to the event space, a huge sign for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Week, I guess. Now, ironically, we cropped that a little bit because I didn't want to out any of the kids, but it was all white girls standing outside of the building, of course. And then I gave my talk. It was all good. And a professor came up to me after, and she looked, I would say, if you were to kind of take a generic lefty female professor at a school, at a liberal school, you'd kind of get what that image looks like. And I said to her something about, oh, I was kind of shocked that that they have DEI signs outside. And I could see she got all kind of huffy. And then she was like, well, it's something that we teach here. And I was like, well, wouldn't you prefer meritocracy in your classes, that the best will rise regardless of skin color and all that? And she literally, as if she was the meme, she started shaking. Her hands were like this. She started shaking and she said, that is a stock photo, by the way. That's not exactly.
I'm like, is that her?
God, I was just.
But that was kind of like, the hair was very similar, the look. But anyway, she had her hands clenched and she started shaking and she said, I better walk away now. And I thought, wow, we think we've come so far with all of this stuff. And yet here I am with a professor. And all I said was, what do you think about meritocracy? And she freaked. So, Jillian, we got a long way to go with that stuff. Like, we think we've won, and yet it's still there.
I don't see that at all. I see the left going that much farther to the left. And even though this is an unrelated lefty topic, all of those 80-20 issues I'm putting into one bucket. I have literally gotten into knockdown, drag out fights with family members over Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I swear to God. The fact that they are fighting for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who beats the crap out of his wife, is a suspected human trafficker, crossed the border illegally, has extremely questionable tattoos that can be decoded into MS-13, and they are just down for friggin' Kilmar Abrego Garcia to be an American today. And it's the same wokeism, but squared. I am seeing them double down on these issues. It's worse than ever. And I think that's why AOC is now the front runner. I mean, could you be more woke? I don't think so. Could you push it to the farthest extreme on the opposite side? I don't think it's going away at all. And I think it's resist at all costs and, double down at an exponential pace, which is unfortunate.
Sage, you just mentioned you're with your daughter she's in college now, right?
This is the oldest one. She graduated last week.
Oh, okay. So you got one out, but you have at least one in right now. I mean, how do you deal with that in terms of, do they tell you, oh man, some of this stuff is still happening at the universities and all that?
Yeah, she just graduated and I still have two in. I think so much of it does matter where they choose to go to school. And as parents, where we choose to allow them to go based on the fact that most of the time the parents are paying for the education. She graduated from High Point University. Stuff like that was not tolerated because stuff meaning, all the anti-Semitism, et cetera. And that equals hate speech. Right. So it's not tolerated at campuses who have good leadership. I told my kids, Dave, when we lived in Connecticut for basically their entire upbringing. And I said, if you want your college paid for by me, you are not allowed to go to school in the Northeast. You will go somewhere south, frankly. And they went on their own and chose, from there. But at the end of the day, as parents, I think we have to make that decision at some point. Yes, we want our kids to go do their thing and live their dreams, but I refuse to allow them to be indoctrinated by professors like the one you're describing that came up to you shaking yesterday. Is there dissent and disagreement? Absolutely, but with conversations. And I will not allow my kids, I won't enable it by paying for it.
Russell, you've got two beautiful young daughters, a little bit before college age, but you are going to send them somewhere at some point. Do you guys think about that already? Are you and your wife thinking about what, you send your kids to school and next thing you know, they're coming back and they've got a different name and wearing different clothes and all the rest of them, trying to burn down the country, that sort of thing.
Look, I think this podcast is merely our first venture. After this, we'll start little schools and co-ops. And I think you should be grateful you were even invited to that college. I bet they only had you there as a DEI speaker. He's gay. Get him in there. They'd have Jillian, but her lesbianism is so difficult to detect and so secret that she can't even get bookings on campuses that are determined to get a gay perspective on the campus.
I say I seem more gay than she seems lesbian. I mean,
I think you're the least gay-seeming gay. Neither of you.
You're one of those normal gays, Dave. Yeah, you're the JD Vance normal gay. But I just realized I'm leaving money on the table here.
Yeah.
Because if I'm more gay, then I could be invited to speak at it. Did they pay you for this?
More.
Because
will-
I'm adding homo to my bio today.
Well, first,
Get it in there.
for the record, nothing gay happened there, but yes, I'm not going to I'm not going to the
Whole thing was
University of
gay,
Delaware
Dave.
for free.
The photo's gay. You standing there's gay. The confrontation with the shaky frizzle. Oh, gay. The whole event. You taking money from a Biden Foundation? Gay.
So gay. Oh my gosh.
Gay.
And like bad gay. Not like 1980s.
Not
That's
good
so
gay.
gay. Not good gay.
Gay. I cannot believe you
Yeah.
guys right. Oh my god.
Wow.
Russell, your
Yeah.
daughters, what are you going to do? That was a professional pivot,
Praying,
by the way.
Dave. It's very good. I'm praying. Listen, I took them to school this morning in Florida. I dropped them off a place. There's kittens, there's goats. They're learning today about bring all your weary to me. They're learning from a former special ops guy that runs a forest school and a woman that runs her own farm. They're learning how to be Americans, how America was intended to be: independent, sovereign, powerful, in the pursuit of happiness before God. And the fact that I have to tell you that in this accent is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're preparing for the apocalypse,
Yeah.
Russell, to be dead honest.
Get ready. Get ready, baby. I mean, don't you think that every so often, like when we're talking about anything else, like, can't you feel the burgeoning apocalypse? Is it going to be India, Pakistan? Is it going to be AI? Is it going to be Ukraine, Russia? Is it going to be some new virus that they're doing? Thankfully, not gain of function. I mean, I am prepping. I'm prepping. If you're not prepping, you're misstepping.
You know, I got to tell you, I love a million things about Russell, but one of them is that you guys know, and Sage, you fled to Florida, and Jillian, you're in Florida some part of the year, and there's so many people, everyone flocks to Florida as the promised land of America. But Russell came from the UK, so his level of PTSD that he brought here, I've just brought Cali PTSD, right? But he brought like a country that is a thousands-year-old nation that's crumbling, and now he has come here and he's a prepper. It's rather extraordinary, Russell.
It's been a steep incline, let me tell you.
Well, I'm almost done with my segment, and then we're going to hand it to Sage. If you think that everything is good in America because you live in Florida, you have to realize that that's not the case. We also have other people in other states that are doing ridiculous things. I call her Lady Eyelashes, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman from Texas.
Oh, gosh.
Who used to have a normal speak like a regular person who now only speaks ghetto. It's really weird. Anyway, this picture came out over the weekend, and this is her cutting the line in front of people in wheelchairs as she was getting on a plane, and she's being accused of abusing her power. And I just thought it was like the perfect, a picture's worth 1,000 words. It's just such a perfect example to me of what the Democrats are. They pretend to care for the downtrodden. They pretend to care for the handicapped or the slow or the gay or the whatever. or the slow gay handicapped, whatever. And they really don't. They really don't. Jillian, do they care about any of these people? Do they care about the slow gay guy in a wheelchair?
It's all a virtue signal, but I want to give her some credit here because it's not a private jet. I mean, we saw AOC and Bernie exiting their private jet on Earth Day, I'll have you know. So, hey, she's flying commercial, guys. Let's give credit where credit's due to Jasmine.
Well, actually, why don't I throw to this one last clip that I'm going to do, and then I'll have the guys jump in, because yes, Bernie is flying private while he's doing his Fight the Oligarchy tour. He's also a millionaire with 3 houses. He used to go off on millionaires. Then he became a millionaire. Now he goes off on billionaires. But he was on Fox and he got questioned about his planes. And listen to this answer. God.
Oh, I can't wait.
5 rallies in a week. The only way you can get around to talk to 30,000 people. Think I'm going to be sitting on a waiting line at United? Waiting, 30,000 people are waiting. That's the only way you can get around. No apologies for that. That's what campaign travel is about. We've done it in the past. We're going to do it in the future.
Guys, that to me is like as bad. Oh, why should he has important things to do? So he shouldn't have to wait because no one else at an airport has anything important to do. And this is the guy who wants to pretend he's the man of the people. I mean, Russell, it really is nuts, right? Like it really is just such an easy exposure of the hypocrisy.
Yeah, that's pretty appalling, that. it makes you realize that every single principle they hold is simply there for utility. What a pivot that is. I have to be able to see 30,000 people. The only way to do that is on a Falcon. I need to take off at a steep angle. I can't be there with other people. It's amazing. What's next? Is he going to actually declare that he likes those onesies? As long as they fit a colostomy bag in those onesies, as long as I can defecate in one end, out the other, I will not denounce these onesies. I declare these onesies are the new icon of America. Get them up there with Old Glory, baby.
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
Oh,
Sage, follow
my.
that.
Oh boy, we're in trouble.
I
Oh
should just
gosh.
walk away now. I should just walk away now. I'll say this. Please, please continue to put out the Bernie Sanders and Jasmine Crockett of the Democratic Party and AOCs. They are continuing to remind America why they voted the way they did on November 5th. And for Jasmine, it is, even when you see the Democrats squirming when having to respond and talk to her, she is an embarrassment to humanity, and she is absolutely classless. Please keep doing you.
You know, there was one other, I'm not going to throw to it now, but do you guys remember the moment about a year ago when Bernie's on Real Time and Bill asks him what the difference between equality and equity is? And he's like, you know, equality is equality of outcome, is a quality of opportunity, and equity is the reverse of that. And he's like, well, which do you believe in? And Bernie's like, I guess I believe in equality. And it's like, you've been running on equity this whole time. Like, you don't.
I was on that episode, Dave. That's the episode that I was
that's
on, man, that you pull that clip from all the time where I was arguing with that dude about mainstream media and stuff.
That is.
Yeah, like it's difficult because where do you look? Because Bernie Sanders and AOC, they're the only people, because you're not going to look at Gruesome Newsom, that slick joker without makeup politician. You're going to look to AOC and Bernie Sanders to be, and they're not going to provide answers because the ludicrous hypocrisy. Though to Jasmine Crockett's defense, a lot of them people in wheelchairs at airports don't need those wheelchairs, do they?
That's true.
Like Disney World wheelchairs.
I know.
It's a hack. That's a hack.
It's like Costco. You see all these people, they walk in and then suddenly they walk in and they can't walk anymore and they got to get in those big ass things.
That's true.
I let my kids use those mopeds. We use them and we're like, listen, these things are here these are leisure activities.
Yeah, well,
in Walmart.
You're a big celebrity.
Okay.
You shouldn't have to walk around Costco like
No.
Allow me now.
You should take the moped to the private jet. And
I have to go to Costco. I deserve a mobility scooter. I can't wander around. There's 30,000 people in Costco. I need a private jet in there.
Allow me now to throw to professional broadcaster.
Oh, gosh.
Steele.
oh dear.
Before I start, I will say this. This is supposed to be politics and personal. And Dave Rubin, as our fearless leader, you gave nothing personal. And I'm going to hold you accountable for next week when we do this. Got it?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give one personal thing. So I am at my parents' condo. That was my grandma, who's long gone. But this condo here has been in my family for probably over 50. Oh, yeah, for over 50 years. I'm 48, over 50 years. And it's truly my favorite place on earth. So you are getting me in like the place that I love, that I am the happiest, on the beach and most calm and most non-political. This is the most political thing I've ever done on this island ever.
Okay.
We're doing right now.
Okay, happy or like gay happy? Like what?
No,
what
just regular margarita at 5 o'clock happy. So I guess a little gay.
That covers all of it. Okay. I'm gonna start personal. Is that okay? And
Yeah.
and I usually, I don't know, I get all awkward and weird, but yeah, I have a ring on my finger and I didn't know if that would ever happen again. Crazy. Although Dave,
Amazing.
you met my Dave. I like Dave's apparently.
You love Dave's, yeah.
I love Dave's. And it was really, really cool. As many of you know, this is round 2 for me. I was married for 20 years and have 3 incredible kids. And it was really, every part of my journey has been such a blessing. I wouldn't change a thing. This shocked me. And it was almost 3 weeks ago. And the coolest part, besides the fact that he got on his knee and surprised me, my Dave, not Dave Rubin, was that I decided to FaceTime my oldest daughter, who's in bed behind me here, and just to get her reaction, praying that she'd be happy. And she was kind of happy. Look at this.
Is it also because of...
Not bad,
I know.
Steele.
It makes me
That's
cry
right.
happy tears. Again, I'll say this. It's the
Oh
only time she said the F word and I haven't grounded her for it. And she's not allowed to say it anymore. And it's not about the ring, right?
no.
She did that in a cute little TikTok video, but it was about her reaction. And it's really cool, you guys. Your kids are younger and
Okay.
you go through this crazy journey and you don't know where it's going to lead. But when your kid is genuinely happy for your happiness, it's so overwhelming. So I shouldn't have had you play that video again. But anyway, that's my big news, Dave.
How nice to, we're so bludgeoned with things that make us cynical every which way, like from the Bernie thing that we were just talking about to like everything we're hit with, and to see something just beautiful for someone I love, like it really doesn't get better than that.
Congratulations. Also, that's a serious rock he's given you there. What's he doing, that guy, for a living? And I love that. That's Matt Berry, that music he put over there. He's a brilliant English
Oh,
comedian
really?
and
Oh,
musician. Yes, a lovely piece of
When?
music.
Did you
Congratulations.
know?
And
Did you
also,
pick that music on purpose?
it's Matt Berry. He's an English
Yeah.
dude. Very, very
Look at
brilliant
my
comic.
kid who knew. Yeah, very, very cool. She said it was a trending sounds on TikTok, and that's
No
as
Oh,
well.
way.
No,
Congratulations.
well,
thank you.
Sage, let me
congratulations, Mom.
hijack your portion for a second because I will read your engagement announcement so you don't have to read it yourself. Let's see
Okay.
here. This was from Instagram, and there you are on the beach. Looks very similar to the beach that I'm on right now. And you wrote, sometimes it takes a while to find your person, maybe even decades, but when you know, you know. I can honestly say that I wouldn't change a thing about my journey. It was worth the wait. Dave, that's your Dave. Dave, I am so excited and
That's
beyond
enough.
grateful to be doing life with you, all the emojis and all that beautiful stuff. Sage, when we met a year ago or whatever it was, maybe a year and a half ago, you were sort of wrapping up marriage one and you were on your own
Yeah.
this time. And I remember you saying something to me like, I don't know if it'll ever happen again or if I even wanted to or anything else. And here we are, like not that long later. And
Yeah.
Dave's great.
No,
I've met him and I'm thrilled for you.
thank
I
you.
remember when you met him and you said, I'm going to marry him.
I know.
And I was like, okay, Mama, yeah. And here we are. When you
Well,
know, you know.
it's quick, that's for sure. But I've been divorced for 5.5 years, so it's been a while. But at the end of the day, it is quick, and I'm judge away. When you know, you know. Absolutely, super cool. So the kiddo who edited that video and sent it to me and had me crying every time, she's one that's in bed behind me over here. Graduated from college last Saturday. Super cool. The problem is they graduate, but then what do you have to do? You have to move them out of the dorm. And Russell and Jillian and Dave, when all your kids are grown up, talk to me first. The fact that I didn't murder her is a miracle because I warned her ahead of time. Look at this.
What time is it? I have told this child that we are moving her out of her dorm tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. That's like a fair time. I swear to God, if she's not ready, I'm going to ground you and you're going to be homeless. Yeah, Quinn, 11 a.m. I swear to God. Huh. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
I came 2
God.
hours late. What? What are we doing?
No.
Oh, glad we have.
No.
Is he trying to hide the Smirnoff Ice? What was he doing there?
No, he needed to take a look, take a drink because he saw my face. That's my son.
We are somewhere in the middle of Tennessee. Did you know that? She didn't know. She's been sleeping. And I wanted to show people how yesterday ended up moving out of the dorm. She's lucky she's alive, and here's why. I'm gonna show people what's in this. Yeah. Packed, solid. Hey, Mom! This is how you dance!
Wow, there's a lot there,
Okay.
Sage. There's a lot. There's
Okay.
a lot
What's
to see
going
there.
on? That's
I don't know
eclectic.
how
Oh my
I don't know how you
God.
got that last clip. I will say, maybe Phoenix, throw up that picture of her as an official college graduate. I am so proud of my Quinn. She is she has a job too, guys, immediately out of college. So there's the
Oh.
balance, like so much pride, and she'll be in Nashville where my fiance is, where I'll be part-time as well. There's the pride in that. And then there's the, oh my gosh, get your shit together. And how are we going to figure this out? So the joys of parenting. And I am so excited to now sit back with a glass of wine in my hand because I'm way ahead of you people. I am so excited to watch.
Oh, girl. I'm on mile 18 of this marathon. You know where the heartbreak hill that they talk about? It's like 26.2 miles. I'm 3/4 of the way there. And it's like just starting to get serious. Like when your kids come home and start telling you about 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds that are having sex, that are vaping, that are doing drugs. And it's like really distressing and scary. And I think you just have to have the kind of relationship with your kids where they're not afraid to come to you. They're not afraid to talk to you. I had to make a decision with our daughter the other day where my ex is like, I think she's vaping. I was like, she's not vaping. I know this child. I would smell it. She's not vaping. And I finally said to her, I was like, listen, sweetie, because then my ex gave her a random piss test and claimed that it was to be a camp counselor, and she tested negative for everything. But there was a random text in her phone that my ex caught that said, meet me in the bathroom. So that was it. It was positive she was vaping. And I finally sat down with her and I was like, sweetheart, listen, you're 15. At the end of the day, if you were, I probably couldn't catch you. I'm sure you could get around me. But my job is to keep you safe. It's not to make you feel like you have no freedom of choice and no ability to express yourself. I would much prefer you come to me, you talk to me, we have honest conversations. If you are going to drink, if you are curious about taking something, I want to make sure it's like, do you give them fentanyl strips? I swear to God, I'm not kidding. These are the decisions you're faced with. You can just say no, but does that mean they're actually going to just say no themselves? Or do you say, let me give you fentanyl strips, call me if you're on something, let me know if you want to do something so I can procure it for you. Like, these are all crazy decisions that you have to make, even though right now no means no, and the kids seem to be just fine with that. But until what point, to be dead honest? It's a really hard job. And Sage, it's clear that you've done a great job with both of your kids.
Can I just say, and thank you, can I just say, like, to those, and Dave, your babies, they're so beautiful, and Russell with your daughters. Like, I think that all those things you said, Jillian, and the random piss test, you do it. Yes, once they get to be teenagers, you snoop through, and it's not about trust. It's about protecting them from the things that we actually didn't have to deal with. But at the end of the day, the things that I know all of you are doing, again, mine are 19, 21, and almost 23 now, are so smart, and the accountability that we must have. But first and foremost, that love, and to hug them every day, and to make them feel safe. And in particular, you men with daughters, it is more important than I can even express to you. So keep doing what you're doing and loving them. And then at the end of the day, whether they get a job or not, or are sloppy in their dorm room, who cares? What kind of human beings are you raising? And I could not be more proud of this kid, the one who dropped the F-bomb when I got engaged. Yes, her.
Well, Russell,
swearing is a sign of intelligence. That's what they tell me.
It's funny. My biggest concern with two-year-olds right now is we take them to the park, and it's like, it's not that they're going to be doing drugs or anything like that. It's that there might be a kid with a runny nose on the merry-go-round, and we're like, no, don't get him. Like that. He coughed. We heard a cough.
That continues, by the way. That doesn't go away at 13, 15, or 19, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
There's a very reliable vaccine program available, Dave. All you have to do, you can talk to Jillian about this. If you get them vaccinated every couple of days, you can let them. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't stop transmission. But just get the vaccines.
But they should, just inject them with shit.
Questions. Just inject them. Put those fentanyl strips on them. What's going on with that door? Your daughter's bedroom, it looked like an MS-13 base. I think she should be deported. Get her straight out of America.
I know.
What was going on in there?
I know. And this is after allegedly a whole week of packing. This is what happened. She has 6 roommates. And let's just say I found out yesterday that she had been up until she didn't get home till 6 a.m. that morning from post-graduation parties. So we're going to give her a pass on this one. And then the next time there's this issue, she will be deported, and I will have you help me.
All right.
Deportation, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. When the drawers like vomit into each other, it's time to
Oh,
be deported.
that's no
Yeah, for
good.
sure. No,
It's
That's no
funny.
no, no.
good.
Were you guys all having that same visceral reaction to the room more than anything else? Like we're all basically like Gen Xers, kind of ballpark same age, and it's like, man, I did live like that. I went to college, and there was a ton of shit everywhere, and probably a knocked over bong, and God knows what. But when I look at that now, I'm like, how the hell did I do it? How did I survive?
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, she always says to me, she's like, Mom, it's not dirty. It's just clutter. There's a difference between, being dirty. And I'm like, okay, fine, next. And I guarantee you that when it's their apartment and they're paying for it, things change. By the way, I'm getting evil eyes. She's right over there. She's like throwing daggers with her eyes right now.
That's all right. It's good for her. Builds character.
I'm like, wake up, get out of bed. Okay, speaking of good people, can I segue to my political little rant here?
Please.
Because the people that run Disney, they just keep pounding away at the reasons why so many of us have lost trust in them as well. Did you guys see that the Walt Disney Company, led by CEO Bob Iger once again, they're building a new theme park in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, and I'm pretty sure, it's about $10 billion, they're saying, the largest park that they will have built anywhere globally, but then they're saying someone else is paying for it, that it's not Disney that's actually paying for it. An entertainment company over there is going to do it, $10 billion. To me, the biggest point that we must take from this is the hypocrisy of the Walt Disney Company that talks all about diversity and equity and inclusion and gay rights and rainbows everywhere, just like what they did with Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida, right? For the alleged Don't Say Gay bill. And they're so upset about how gays are treated, right? And then what do? They decide to put a $10 billion park in UAE, where there is such a long history of human rights violations and cutting off heads of gay people. So tell me how this makes sense. Make it make sense. I worked for the Walt Disney Company for 16 and a half years. It only got worse and worse as far as this hypocrisy. And they need to be called out on it, because you can't do this and file a lawsuit and go crazy against the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis and anyone canceling me. I mean, I'm obviously not canceled, guys, but silencing me and suspending me for having an opinion that didn't fit theirs, right? The DEI, diversity of thought, that does not exist. But then going ahead and doing business with a country that chops off heads of gay people. Help me understand
Did
this.
they chop our heads off? It can't be good. I'll tell you that. I was like, hold on. Hold on a second. Definitely not good. I know that much. Talk
Wait.
amongst yourself. Like, check out if Dave and I never
Well, this
fly
Look
over
at
Abu
Jillian
Dhabi
doing
again.
endangered Russell
actual
Brand going.
research.
Let's go.
That's amazing that Jillian's researching it, because Sage has just come out and said they're chopping off gay people's heads. Jillian, who, as we know, will not put her sexuality in her bio, perhaps to avoid a beheading, sensibly, doing research before, just going to verify, do they chop people's heads off? I suppose we
Okay.
shouldn't be surprised, really, because the theme of Disney really is revenue generation. And if you have to have a sort of a mouse that will do all of that kind of stuff, I suppose in a way we shouldn't look to Disney for virtue. They're not in the business of virtue.
Sure.
They're in the business of business. And I suppose this is where the cultural war has got us into trouble. Once we negate the supreme authority that can only come from the divine, we look all over the place to find authority. Jillian, there with facts. Over to you in the studio. Jillian, who I believe is lesbian.
It's bad. Okay, hang on. So, hang on. Here we go. It's a crime, obviously. So, Article 80 of Abu Dhabi's Penal Code stipulates that sodomy is punishable by up to 14 years in prison. Sharia law, which influences the UAE's legal system, homosexual acts are punishable by death. However, there are no known instances where the death penalty has been enforced by homosexuality in the UAE, but we can be publicly flogged, fined, deported, chemically castrated, or forced to have psychological treatments and imprisonment. So it's not good. It's not good, Dave. Maybe we should
It's
move
not
through
great.
Dubai.
Hey, no, those are all good measures. Those are all sensible measures to bring people into line. Also, Gillian, it didn't say homosexuals. It said homosexual acts. Sage, me, Dave, any one of us could do a homosexual act. I mean, look at this shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a
That's
homosexual act.
true. God, Russell, you're already being
cleavage alone.
persecuted. Definitely don't go through there, especially
I'm
on
on my
that shirt.
I've already booked a ticket. I'm on my way there to do some
I love it.
homosexual acts on
I
Magic
love it.
Mountain. See how committed they are.
Sage, I guess my response to that video or that story would be that
Whoa.
capitalism always wins
Woo.
in the end.
Doesn't it?
Like
Yeah.
and I mean that in the best sense and I guess the worst sense at the same time. Like the desire to make money is what drives everything and to expand things.
Wow.
And in many cases, that's good. But in some cases, it then does exactly what you're talking about, which is expose absurd fraud, right? Like absurd virtue signaling ridiculousness. The same company that was fighting DeSantis over something that clearly did not exist in Florida, Don't Say Gay, is now going to a place where, as you know, it was flogging and a couple other things. So it's like, but yet they're doing it because of money. So is
Yeah.
that good? Is that bad? Is that progress? Is that regress?
Well, listen, I'm a capitalist. Pretty sure everybody on this show is a capitalist. At the end of the day, we just have to continue to point out the hypocrisy. Do you go invest in anything, but don't? When I was at
Right, it's
ESPN,
the
don't
lecture.
have an
Yeah.
on-air host have a moment of silence during a college women's basketball game for the alleged injustices going on in the state of Florida because against gay people. I mean, that was a well-produced segment, a moment of silence during a
Wow.
basketball game because of Florida
That's
and all the
crazy.
hysteria over that, but then go and invest $10 billion plus in a country that has terrible human rights violations and in particular against gays and homosexuals. That's all I'm saying. We have to continue to point it out. But
Make a great
go
point.
do you.
You're right.
Good.
And you know,
You're right,
these guys,
Mama.
they
Okay,
fold
real
pretty
quick,
quickly
but
when you expose the hypocrisy. My last stop on my book tour was at the height of the Don't Say Gay nonsense, and I did a show in Orlando, in Disneytown, with DeSantis, and there were literally hundreds of protesters outside protesting homophobic Ron DeSantis as I'm on stage with him. It's like, yeah.
Wow.
But yes,
no,
Russell, it's a very
no.
gay outfit.
Wow. Gosh, guys. Okay.
The other part of the hypocrisy that
Whew.
continues to be exposed. We were talking earlier about DEI and are things calming down? Are we getting better? Jillian, you and I are on the same page. No, I don't think on the left that they're calming down with
No.
all of it, whether it's DEI, Black Lives Matter, you name it. Riley Gaines, a friend of the program, right, and a dear friend of mine, she was with Charlie Kirk with Turning Point USA this week at San Francisco State University. They're in Portland and they're also at University of Washington. And I think we have video of this, right, Phoenix? Take a look at what happened with protesters. Or is this a tweet from her? Yeah, this is from Charlie. Yeah. Okay, San Francisco State University today with Riley. 2 years ago, these extremists held Riley hostage on this very campus. We're back and we brought reinforcements. And so they came there just to talk specifically about the fact that men, under any circumstances, cannot become women. And what happened when they were there was as ugly as ever. Go for it.
Kill yourself! Kill yourself, you old fuck!
So are you gonna kill yourself tonight and be a good fucking boy?
It would be so beautiful to see your bodies hanging from the trees, swinging back and forth.
Are you gonna be submissive and drop fucking dead for me, bitch?
Imagine if a rifle shot you in the head. You'd be so beautiful, Dad.
There's so much to say about this because it's like everyone gets like the irony and hypocrisy of the people that preach diversity and tolerance who are not diverse nor tolerant. But there's something else I've been thinking about that maybe is a little more like a little wider in a societal sense, which is how much longer can a society operate like this? Like, how long can it be that you are allowed to have masked vigilantes
Yeah.
taunting people, taking over
masks.
streets, taking over buildings, taking over malls, going to the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center? Like, how long can that last before either you radicalize a whole bunch of other people who just want to be left alone, or you just shred every piece of the social construct of a pluralistic society? I don't know how much longer it can last, truly.
I don't see it stopping, Dave. I mean, you can ask that philosophical question, but there's no end in sight. What I find is so crazy that you feel the need to cover your face, but you're so passionate about your beliefs kill yourself. I want to see your body hanging from a tree. And yet you think you're righteous? I find this to be the most disturbing, terrifying thing. And I would never want to compromise the First Amendment. But the real question I've been asking a lot lately is, what is the line between free speech and inciting violence? Because is that not inciting violence? Kill yourself, drop dead for me. I want to see your body hanging from a tree. Like, that is terrifying shit, guys. It should not be okay to scream that at people in public. That should not be allowed. It should be illegal.
Russell, what do you think about that? Because obviously you're a free speech guy. We all are. But that they're basically using free speech to not only stifle other people's free speech, but to stop us from having public places together and private places like college and take over streets in New York City and everything else. Like, what do we do? What do we do about that when you want to respect free speech?
From a political perspective, it seems irresolvable. And it's interesting when we find ourselves switching sides on the free speech debate continually, when we vacillate, when 1 minute it's a liberal issue, the next minute it's a conservative issue. A friend of mine gave me a great perspective yesterday. It was this, that in Christ we have someone that will take on the burden of that person saying, kill yourself, kill yourself. In a sense, unless we have a supreme authority, like this is how we behave, then we're all down here just trying to work out what's permissible, changing it according to our biases. Look how much today hypocrisy comes up as the central idea. Disney and the Disney Corporation believe this in this territory and this in that territory. In a sense, I don't think we're capable of making those moral choices. I was watching Love on the Spectrum and querying whether or not certain behaviors I witnessed were an indication that they were not at a threshold that meant they were able to consent, essentially that they are children. Then I realized that a threshold exists in all of us and that we're all below a certain threshold when it comes to our ability to determine to some degree, what is right and wrong. Of course, we all appear to have a basic understanding of morality and common sense, but those decrees must come from God. If they don't come from God, then your guess is as good as mine. Why don't we say, oh, well, this is free speech, that's not free speech? Who among us is like confident to draw where that line that Jillian points out to when free speech becomes incitement to violence? And it so often falls into the hands of the powerful. Bernie Sanders would condemn Donald Trump for getting a private jet, and then he himself gets a private jet. AOC has the pronouns in the bios when it's cool, removes them. Jillian should have lesbian in the bio, makes things nice and clear. I've been sort of so pummeled by my own inability to interpret reality correctly. I'm just grateful that there is an alternative.
Yeah, I struggle with it at times too, but at the end of the day, I have to go back to that is their right. Is it their right to throw human feces at them?
No,
right.
No,
there's laws against that already, I think.
I hope so. But they're harassing people in public.
Right.
There's got to be that is not a peaceful protest. When you're telling someone to kill themselves or you want to see them dead or you want to see them hanging from a tree, to me, that is inciting violence. And I don't know how you would interpret the law there, but it is not.
That would be as close. Telling someone to kill themselves is as close as you could get probably to actually violating, because telling them to kill themselves is not saying I'm going to kill you, which would be absolutely an incite to violence, right? Like there are laws around those things. But to Russell's point, in some sense they can be subjective. But I'm more personally, I'm just more interested in the social contract that seems to be disappearing in this country. Like if you took your family if any of us took our family to New York City and put aside what the protest was, it's a Hamas protest or it's the trans thing or Antifa or whatever, but you're just pushing your stroller or you're with your 15-year-old kid walking down the street and just masked people all in black come up and they're just walking down the street and they're whatever. It's like that doesn't really work over time. And what you will have is a place where no one will go to the cities anymore, and the cities will become dystopian sci-fi apocalypse places, and basically the suburbs or the middle of the country will kind of be free.
That's why the fact that it happened in San Francisco and in Portland and in Washington State, that's not
Seattle,
lost
yeah.
on me. I mean, that is
Yeah.
pretty consistent, unfortunately, with the behavior that has been totally accepted there. I'd say really since the summer of love, the summer of 2020. So to me,
Yes, the
it's
chop
about
zone. Yep,
yeah,
I remember
it's
that.
about
It was
breaking this
horrifying.
down, not allowing this. Like part of me is like, okay, let's just not give them the attention because that's what they want. But our job, I think, with whatever platforms that we have, is to remind people that this is still out there and that there is still a ton of work to do, and we must continue to combat it. And big kudos to Riley Gaines and Charlie Kirk for continuing to go back into the belly of the beast and try to have these conversations, which, by the way, are based on fact, because no matter what anyone says, men cannot become women, period. When I say work to be done, honestly, Russell, when I met you last fall, the amount of work that you have done as a human being is incredible and it's inspiring. And I saw a little something that you posted recently, and I think it's a reason to celebrate. So this is my official segue to Russell Brand's segment, and there's no better segue. Go ahead.
It's been a year since I've been baptized in the holy name of Jesus Christ, and in that year I've been to incredible churches, met incredible people, learned incredible things. Mostly as someone who's always been anti-establishment, who's never fitted in the world, that's always felt adrift here and in exile here on earth, here in the body, always looking for something to anchor, tether me, something to contain, distract, anesthetize me. The message of Jesus Christ and the glory of his available kingdom has been an incredible balm. Thank you, all of you that have walked with me on this path and that pray for me.
Go on, Dave. Say something about the outfit. Go on. Undermine it. Undermine that I've got a towel. Go on. I know you're
I
already,
was
you're
actually
already
going to say, I love that you coordinated. That's what I was going to say. Right?
Believe it or not, my friend, I was
Russell.
going to say something very lovely about your
Oh.
spiritual and personal journey, but now you've ruined it because you look like
You
Arnold
ruined it.
Schwarzenegger in Total Recall
Russell.
when he had to wrap the towel around his head.
Why can't I let people love me? Why can't I just accept love?
You see what you
Wait,
did there? You
okay.
see what you did? That was spiritual Russell
Sabotage.
Brand versus celebrity Russell Brand. You have a spiritual
Silly.
moment.
Okay.
You were about to get accolades and awards and
Blew it.
acceptance and yes, Sage.
Wait, I'm not letting him get away with this. I want people to know that before we started this show today, Russell asked if he could say a prayer over the show. And that got me choked up, Russell, because not many people have the courage to do that. And I just wanted to throw it out there and make sure people realize, my goodness, we are all imperfect. And you have owned it, and you have been very open and vulnerable about it. And so congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. I hope you know that you're inspiring so many more people than you'll ever get to meet. So congrats.
Thank you. I love Jesus very, very, very seriously and very, very deeply, precisely because of my own flaws, because of the contradictions I know in me, because of my own tendency towards hypocrisy, because of the inevitability of failure and falling, because whatever people bring up to attack the institutions of Christianity, I know because I read it what Christ is telling us. He is telling us, love one another as I have loved you. That means love one another to the point of being willing to die for it, and love one another from a place where you know that you are being sourced by and fueled by the living water of God. Now, I spent my whole life in false idolatry. I spent my whole life worshipping the low level energies available to all of us, the worldliness, accolades, attention, primal urges, the fulfillment of addictive notions and needs. And that's clearly explained, described, and warned against biblically. And I see the Bible and the messages of our Lord, if I could be reductive for a moment, I'm going to just sum up the Bible as it's not like a mallet that you're being beaten with. It's a light that's showing you the way. It's telling you, you might think that you can worship sexuality. If you do that, you will suffer. You might think you can worship the appetites. You might think there is no such thing as organized evil. There is organized evil. You will find it in your mentality. You will find it in your flesh. You will find it in the world. We sit around here in our podcast that we do together in this state of bafflement. How can the world be so hypocritical? How can there be so many lies? How can institutions that claim that they're here for nutrition accept money from organizations that perpetuate heart disease, diabetes, and cancer? Because the evil one is in control of the earth. Now, I don't like it when it sounds kind of superstitious or like a fairy story, but folk tales rather than fairy stories are full of redolent archetypal truth. All of us, in our own way, are seeking. We're seeking and trying to detect a truth that's underneath the ephemera and noise of our culture. The culture that, as Terence McKenna says, is not your friend. The culture either wants you to consume or to shut up. It wants to distract you and it wants to anesthetize you. Even when it comes to complex ideas, like, for example, edicts and controls and suggestions around sexuality, the supreme principle is love and non-judgment and not worshipping sex and sexuality. And I'm in an obvious position to be able to appreciate the censure and consequences of not living in alignment with God. This is officially my segment of Actual Friends now. Thanks for the handover, Sage. And we've already seen the video of my 1 year walking with our Lord and Savior, Christ Jesus. And there's a quote here that beloved Phoenix has pulled for us that's from Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Now, obviously, over the course of the week, I was in the United Kingdom where I've been charged with sexual assault and rape. And I'm extremely grateful to all three of you. Obviously, Dave, but me and Dave have been mates for a while, and I love Dave and I love Dave's family. But Sage and Jillian, who don't know me as well, I'm very grateful to you as women to be willing to participate in this because I know that there are people that would not. And it's a territory that's actually culturally defined, as you indicated a moment ago, Dave, say urbanity versus rural or suburban communities, but also now at this point in the what I would have to call the decline of the United Kingdom, almost internationally. I feel for my mother and for my father and my friends in the UK because they love me and my fame and celebrity obviously really influenced and impacted their life. And now to see that fame metastasized back into the shame that probably drove me to want to get famous in the first place with delicious and deep spiritual irony. I sort of want people to know that a lot of people see things differently. I know I was a very promiscuous guy, and I know that that's a sinful and selfish way to live. But I also know what I have not done. I also know what I would never do. I also know that in my sexual addiction, what I wanted was the approval and love of women. I love women, and I really loved women when I was a single guy with no chains. Not that I see marriage as a chain. Oh no, that was clumsy. Cut that. With the beautiful bond of my marriage to my incredible wife Laura, I want to be loved and want to be adored, and I feel like women, gay or straight, and I don't know, gay men as well, would be able to detect that my frequency is not I want to dominate and control. It's I want to attract and be approved of. I don't want to touch anybody who doesn't want me touching them. I don't want anyone touching me who's not interested in me and attracted to me. So the whole thing is abysmal and appalling. But nevertheless, when I walked through that gauntlet, that mad menagerie of seething mosquito-like journalists and paparazzi, how can anyone, when looking at that, think that those are the righteous? How can any of us that have worked in mainstream media consider them as neutral arbiters of morality? They're so invested in the culture, whether it's reporting on COVID-19, presumably on behalf of their sponsors at Pfizer, whether it's talking about any one of a number of issues. The legacy media are not neutral observers. They are gatekeepers and propagandists, whether it's the subject of me or the many, many, many more important subjects. Not to me, I'm the most important subject to me, but I recognize everyone else has their own deal when it comes to that sort of stuff. So, what I've learned is that, for example, that bit of verse, which someone else gave me, spoke to two brilliant people, two mentors of mine. One told me, make sure you have something in your mind that you can return to. And another person who helps me with scripture gave me that verse. I will fight for you. You need only to be still. The idea that all of us are included in the remit and purview of a loving God that sees all of us the same, all of us, without judgment, we are on our knees before him, covered by the covenant of his blood. He is fighting for us. He loves us. That's how this situation will resolve. The reason it's so difficult, because the earth is fallen and broken. We are fallen and broken. And without him, we are damned and condemned. The good news is he will accept all of us. He loves all of us. He died for all of us. He didn't die. He don't care about the difference. Any difference between any of us are irrelevant to him. All that he cares about is that we love him and follow his edicts when we can, even though we won't do it perfectly. So thanks for teeing that up, Sage. And that's really what my first week as a Christian has been like. And I just once again want to reiterate my gratitude to all of you for being supportive, because not everyone would do that. So thanks.
Well, I just realized I think we're going to have to make a format change of the show. Maybe me and Sage and Jillian will lead segments, and then halfway through, Russell will give a sermon, and then we will go from there. I just want to say, Russell, because I've said this to you privately, and we've all talked about it a little bit. You're obviously dealing with a little bit of a headache that you just referenced from a former life. And I just, when I heard it, and, we've been friends for a while and talking about doing this for a while, I was just like, I will not throw a friend under the bus because somebody said something about them. I will not participate in this circus anymore. Everyone, part of what the machine, or whatever you want to call it, does, the Matrix, is it makes us all participate in a game that the rules are ever changing. And I was like, I've known Russell for a couple of years now. We've spent a lot of time together. It has only been great. I've only seen a wonderful, generous, loving human being. And so I can only treat him the exact same way back. So no, I'm not going to not do a show with him or not appear somewhere with him or something like that. And the four of us are all here in the same spirit. So
Thank you very much.
Can
Go
I
on,
actually jump?
Julian. I could
I
see
want to jump
Julian
ahead to
warming
something.
up.
I have a couple of thoughts actually on this. I'm just wondering if I jump ahead to my segment. The irony of this is that Phoenix, I recently did Joe Rogan. It was a 3-hour interview. And Phoenix on Dave's team was producing the show, pulled a clip and sent it to me that he wanted to air during this. Phoenix, I was wondering, could you actually throw that up right now? I'm sure you probably don't have it queued up, but because it's coming up right now, it's extremely relevant.
He's a pro. Watch this.
Okay.
Do you find that you fall victim to that sometimes? I see myself do it on occasion where you hear a narrative.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't dig deeper on it. And I've been guilty of it a couple of times.
I apologized to Bobby Kennedy when he came here because I said, yes, I believed everything about you before I read your book. I thought you were this kook who doesn't believe in vaccines, and he's an anti-science guy and a conspiracy theorist. And then I read The Real Anthony Fauci. I was like, oh.
That's bananas.
I was talking about you. And what's interesting is that way back when Dave approached me about this idea and was like, I really love this idea, and I love you, and I love Sage, and I love Russell. And I was like, oh gosh, Dave, I just don't know that I could work with Russell. I don't know. This is before you went through this recent slew of accusations. And Dave goes, Jillian, have you done any research into this? Have you looked into him? Have you ever met him? Have you spoken to him? And the answer was no. I had done none. Cut to just a few weeks later, I remembered seeing an article about you that all the accusations in that Channel 4 investigation, I wrote it down again, were fake. They found no evidence against you whatsoever. And I remember thinking, like, how have I done this? How have I judged this guy without ever doing any homework, without ever being presented any evidence? And I was really disappointed in myself. And the only reason that I didn't mention your name in that moment with Rogan, where he talked about Bobby Kennedy and how he had made the same jumps to conclusions about him and judged him without doing the work, is because I knew you were going through a lot and I didn't want to add to the chaos, but I was specifically referencing you. And so I found it very bizarre and potentially serendipitous that out of 3 hours, Phoenix sent that clip to talk about today. So listen, if you're a rapist, Russell, we probably won't talk again. I don't get that from you. You seem, in all my engagements with you, you have been transparent, authentic, kind, honest. And in the homework that I have done, there has been no evidence to this point that you have done any of these things you have been accused of. So that's what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thanks.
Can I add one thing on? First of all, when I got to meet you last fall, Russell, again, we all have our impressions from afar and from fame, etc. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what a kind human being. And all I can do, and I teach my kids to do, is okay, yes, look at the noise, fine. How do they treat you? And to me, that really matters. From a, I guess, more business perspective, actually, one more personal thing. I have a very, very, very close family member who was accused of rape many, many years ago. And they were young, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even, there wasn't even any physical interaction, and this young girl made something up. And it almost ruined this person's life. And I'll never forget how I felt trying to protect that person that I loved when we knew it was false. And eventually the truth came out pre-internet, right? That changed me in that moment to see how it can completely ruin someone's life and then some. And so I've always since then said, no, due process. We talk about this for illegals, right? No, due process, and let's allow the system to work before we automatically believe accusations. And then as a journalist at ESPN, and I don't know if you guys remember Matt Ariza, the Buffalo Bills punter, who was accused of raping a college girl.
Yeah.
And the NFL excoriated him, and he was cut by the Bills. I mean, so many things. And then it comes out she was lying again. So I just think most importantly, when we talk about the work that we're doing with these kind of situations, is to take a moment and remember, listen to both sides and don't automatically assume anything. And I think that is our duty as human beings to live by that first. So God bless you. And you are in our prayers and my prayers, Russell.
Thank you very much. I mean, I suppose that what is important is there is a principle here: innocent until proven guilty. And what I try to do when I'm not personally involved is look at the sources of the information. I'm not talking about the nature of the complainants. I'm talking about the institutions and the media. That's what I'm talking about. It's a legal situation, so I have to be extremely careful, obviously, when I talk about it, and to protect the rights of the people involved in this. And I take them very seriously. And as I've said before, I'm not interested in statute of limitations. If someone did something to one of my daughters 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I'd want justice. Justice is an important principle and can only happen when we believe in God, right, wrong, and we believe in the institutions that we entrust with the carriage of those principles. And I feel completely open and happy that I get the opportunity to talk about these matters in a court of law. My only concerns are, of course, the United Kingdom. How is it being run? And is there such a thing as lawfare? Are there examples of institutions of power being utilized in order to reach certain ends? I'm not being grandiose. We see it everywhere. Now, elsewhere in my segment, I was going to talk about Bonnie Blue, who's a British OnlyFans star, if that's the appropriate term, who's doing a tour of the UK. A dogging tour, as a matter of fact. And I mention this only in the context of it's a country that's also beset by a crisis when it comes to rape gang culture. One extraordinary term that is to use, where contemporaneously, many women have complained to the police in Britain that they have been abused and raped by gangs, and the UK have just refused to conduct an inquiry into those rapes, somewhat claiming it's due to fiscal reasons, that there aren't the resources available. So, but mine is a Crown case, so there are the resources available to pursue these 26-year-old allegations that are untrue, as I will say every time they ever come up. So what I'm saying is, look at the culture we're generating that trivializes sex, that denigrates the relationships between men and women, that positions men and women continually in positions of opposing and conflicting positions. It's an interesting time in the UK. It's an interesting time for free speech. All of us have an individual and collective responsibility to ensure that our moral and judicial principles are virtuous and grounded in something other than our personal preferences. I know for a lot of people that don't like me, being able to upgrade from I don't like him to he's a rapist is a great upgrade. And I respect that and take the win. But there's such a thing as justice. There's such a thing as innocent till proven guilty. And there's such a thing as a corrupt, fallen nation in the hands of globalists, and maybe something even darker than globalism. And there's a lot of collateral damage in holy wars. And with that, I will hand over to, I would say, my favorite lesbian. It's the incomparable Jillian Michaels to take us home. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, well, something positive, guys. So we talked about all my personal stuff already. We got that out of the way, but I don't know if you guys saw the executive order that Trump signed to ban gain of function research. And, we were talking a little bit about existential threats earlier. And then, Russell, you mentioned this as one of them. So I think we have a video of Trump signing this, don't we, Phoenix?
The first relates to gain of function research. Gain of function research is a type of biomedical research where pathogens are adulterated, viruses are adulterated to make them more potent or to change the way that they function. Many people believe that gain of function research was one of the key causes of the COVID pandemic that struck us in the last decade. What this executive order does, first of all, it provides powerful new tools to enforce the ban on federal funding for gain of function research abroad. It also strengthens other oversight mechanisms related to that issue and creates an overarching strategy to ensure that biomedical research in general is being conducted safely and in a way that ultimately protects human health more.
It's a big deal. It could have been that we wouldn't have had the problem we had.
Right? A lot of people say that, sir.
If we had this done.
I want to call balls and strikes here because Obama had put a moratorium on this kind of research in 2014, and Trump did lift it in 2016. But I appreciate the fact that he course corrected in his second term and blocked this. But just so people understand how serious this actually is, we've had lab leaks over the last 50 years, not necessarily gain of function pathogens, but I took a few for you guys. Anthrax escaped the CDC in Atlanta in 2014. SARS-CoV-1 escaped the Beijing Institute of Virology in 2003 to 2004. In 1978, smallpox escaped the University of Birmingham lab, and we all know what happened in 2019. So the fact that these labs are still not secure is not a secret to anyone. And they'll make the argument with gain of function that, like, oh, we're preparing for the next pandemic. But that makes no sense because you're creating a pathogen that would never exist naturally. Like, it makes no sense. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of what this is and why this matters and why we need to stay vigilant about this ban. And a few things to consider. There is some controversy surrounding it. Heather Haying, actually, Brett Weinstein's wife, suggested this to me recently, that Lyme disease could potentially be gain of function research. And now we're hearing that there's this commingling of H1N1 and H5N1, swine flu and bird flu. And like, can you imagine if this escaped a lab? This would not just kill your 90-year-old grandma with type 2 diabetes, but it'll take out your 2-year-olds. So I was pretty happy about this. Who has thoughts on this one? Dave, you look like you got to say something.
Well, the thing that struck me more than the specifics of even signing it, which I think we're all basically happy that he did, is that if you look at the three people that's standing behind him, think how different this is than what we have been dealing with for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Marty McCary, who's an absolute all-star. You have Jay Bhattacharya, now head of NIH, and you have Bobby Kennedy heading HHS. Jay Bhattacharya particularly, when COVID started and all of us, we're all doing our shows and nobody knew what the hell was going on or who to talk to or whatever, I was just trying to find people that were not like crazy alarmist, because everybody was crazy alarmist. And I had some of those people on too, because I just didn't, like all of us, I didn't know what to do. So I had all these people talk about social distancing and stay at home. And I was like, this all seems crazy. So I had Jay Bhattacharya, who at the time was, just a very mild-mannered professor at Stanford. And he's in his office and he's kind of disheveled and whatever. But he was so calm and sobering about what was going on that I credit him probably more than anyone else for all of the reasons that I basically got COVID right, and why I did not get vaxxed, and why I did not force my employees to be vaxxed, or how I became so red-pilled as it pertained to all of the draconian lockdowns, because he became my voice, or he was sort of the thought leader that I paid most attention to. And the fact that he's now standing behind the president of the United States with Bobby Kennedy, who's getting poison out of Fruit Loops, and Marty McCary, who's been doing all this for decades, it's pretty freaking amazing, the change that we have right now. And I think it changed so fast that I don't think people can fully grasp how fast and how good these changes are.
Okay, guys, real quick. I love you. My taping starts in 25 minutes. I have to Uber, and so I'm annoyed because I can't quite finish this. I love you, and let me tell you, Jillian, crushed Chelsea Clinton.
The next one's for you, girl. Yeah, I was like, are you serious?
Okay, I love you. So
this one's for you.
And by the way, that's the point of this show, that we're all doing a million other things, and we're going to do it on the fly and in Ubers and on vacation, and we'll do it live in studio sometimes together and on stage and all that stuff. So you are free.
Okay,
hi, Mama.
I can't wait. I love you. I'm going to have to fire myself for being late to the interview I'm about to do. So I love you guys.
All right, pal. Talk to you in a bit. Speaking of, Russell, before I toss up the Chelsea Clinton tweet flurry, do you have anything to say about gain of function?
I'd like to endorse and support Dave's observation that just to see Marty McCary, Jay Bhattacharya and Bobby Kennedy lined up in the White House is a victory for the type of media that we're involved in and the type of truth and truth tellers that can be supported and ultimately vindicated in these media. It is a complex time. There are so many matters relating to war and finance that I'm frankly not well educated enough to understand or interpret. But at least in this area of the HHS, seeing Dr. Oz, Jay Bhattacharya, Marty McCary, Bobby Kennedy, Jim O'Neill, and so many more people with credibility in positions of power must be heartening in that significant area of health. Thanks for bringing that story up, Jillian.
Russell, can I just quickly add that your shoulder pads would make B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan proud? My God.
Look at your references. That's what I'd say. The fact that B. Arthur is your go-to in 2025 you're so gay that we don't have to even consider the homosexuality of other contributors.
You see, I handed that one to you.
Oh God,
Jillian, bring us home here.
This is going to be a weird one. Okay, so since Sage already mentioned this, and speaking of Marty McCary, the FDA is now mandating that all new vaccines undergo placebo-controlled trials, which really, for some reason, upset Chelsea Clinton. Let's take a look. Okay, so Chelsea Clinton tweeted, "The premise that vaccines are not adequately tested is false and dangerous." By the way, that's actually completely incorrect. In fact, the majority of vaccines are tested for long-term efficacy, but not long-term safety. And I encourage everyone, please do your own homework and do it through more than just a Google search. And she goes on to talk about how it's going to be costly. I wonder to who. Could that be the very same drug companies that sold us this COVID shot that was experimental and arguably not a vaccine? It was gene therapy. So she goes on to say, for political reasons, and it's non-scientific, and that it'll cost money and cost lives. Well, first of all, this actually has to do with boosters. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about COVID boosters and flu shots. So boosters for your yearly flu shot. And previously, they were allowed to just push these things through based on previous data. But it's a new vaccine, and it should be tested for safety. And the fact that they're trying to sell people this narrative is insane. You should never question why we would test a new vaccine for safety with what's considered gold standard research, placebo-controlled trials. This blows my mind. The left just never seems to stop doubling down on crazy to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a through line of a lot of stuff we've been talking about here, but like what purpose does that serve for Chelsea Clinton to not, considering where we're at culturally and everything else in America, to be like, oh, maybe there should be a little more testing, or we should get a little more curious about what's been going on here, or I don't know, why is it that a disproportionate amount of young males now have myocarditis post getting the vaccine? Like, you might ask some of those questions instead of just like a blanket statement that this is political or something. Really, just
it's going to cost money and it's going to cost lives. The death rate on COVID for everybody under 80 is like 0.03%, by the way. And now you have therapeutics. So these narratives are really scary to me because The suggestion that testing a new vaccine for safety would be radical and dangerous when it's actually quite the opposite. We really need to pay close attention and not allow people like her to get away with this.
Vaccine manufacturers should be embracing further clinical trials as an endorsement of the efficacy of their product. If they are concerned about inquiries, there must be a reason for it. When you are innocent, you've got nothing to hide. You want inquiry, you want investigation so that the truth can be revealed. What I recall is that there was one of those booster shots, I think it was the second round, when they looked into Moderna's testing process, there were only 8 mouses that had been tested, and they regarded that as clinical data. And that's right, mouses is the plural for the word mouse, Dave. There's absolutely no argument
That
on
might
that.
be a British thing.
One thing,
oh yeah,
plainly,
go.
the one thing that Chelsea Clinton has been inoculated against, given her proximity to Bill and Hillary, is suicide, because she's lucky to be alive.
Okay, okay, we're going to transition on that one with my last one.
This is it.
This one, I think, this is going to be probably pretty controversial for us today. And this has to do with the transgender
really, Jillian,
ban.
compared to their rape charges? Are you personally up on a charge for being transgender?
I don't have it in my bio, but hey,
Get it in.
this is where I think the social stuff is going too far. And a ban on having transgender individuals in the military, I unilaterally don't agree with. And the argument, I really couldn't figure it out. If they claimed that it would cost more money, and then and it would compromise readiness. But there was a 2016 study from the RAND Corporation that was commissioned by the Department of Defense that found that transgender troops pose minimal readiness or cost burdens. The medical costs would increase in the military by 0.04 to 0.13% more annually. But we have 13,000 transgender troops that are serving right now, and it costs us, with regard to medical professionals, linguistics, soldiers, we already don't have enough people to join the military. They're not fit enough to join the military. 70+% of our population is not healthy enough to join the military. And there's been no issues of a guy and a woman's back. You don't have any of that. And this, to me, I think is a mistake. I think it goes too far.
So there's a couple of things here. I mean, one is, to me, this is a perfect example of the left goes too far, and then it can cause a reaction on the right that may not be exactly what the right reaction is, right? So, for example, had the left not gone so crazy for the last decade with trans stuff, we probably don't have this going through, because it wouldn't even gotten to Trump's desk. There would have been trans people in the military. If there were any issues there, it would have been dealt with internally. None of us would ever heard of it. And then that would be it. That's one thing. I would say my general philosophy on this is, I believe in equal rights, and I believe in treating people as individuals. So as long as whether you are a trans man, meaning you're a woman who now lives as a man, or it's the other way around or whatever, as long as you can hit all of the markers that you are supposed to hit in terms of physical ability and mental acuity and then we should not be discriminating. Now, if there is something else going on in the military, I think their argument, just to try to steel man the other side's argument, would be it's something like this, that the trans thing has now become much more than about gender identity. It's like a political identity, which I think we all probably understand. When you see someone with the trans flag, it means much more than just their feelings about trans. It actually probably, you can learn a lot about what their feelings are about equity over equality, or about socialism versus capitalism, or a series of other things. So I think that a lot of this has to do with stopping an ideology that would be, let's say, anti-American from entering the military. There's probably something legit there. But again, I believe in individual rights. And if someone is a good, decent human being that can hit the metrics that anyone else can have, then I don't think you can discriminate against them. What do you think?
I would say they're willing to die for our country. And I can't think of anything less anti-American, Dave. Russell, what do you think?
I feel like I live around a lot of veterans. This place where I live now, there's a lot of vets around. And what I feel is that it's such a honourable organization, so venerable, that as Dave just said, anyone that is willing to enter into the military knowing that they may have to kill and die for what they believe in ought be lauded and respected. And I feel that we've become so encircled and distracted by cultural issues that even in an example like this one, the Pentagon has never passed an audit. Too much of the overall military budget appears to end up in the hands of Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, military industrial complex companies, and too many service people and veterans are not correctly and morally cared for subsequent to their service. So, if there is something virtuous and valiant about military service, and there's no question that there is, then that honor and veneration has to continue right the way through to their retirement and ultimate demise. When I meet anybody that's willing to put their life on the line for what they believe in, I respect them. And in a way, this could be a beautiful leveler, Dave. Your point about this being an opportunity to say, well, trans people that want to be in the military should be in the military. We've all looked at those advertisements of the Chinese or Russian military and
Right,
seen the
right.
sort of devastating masculinity. And then you see some cozy little cartoon about the US military. And what you see there is the culture is co-opting and dominating areas that are not its business and not its concern. But being a warrior, willing to kill and die for what you believe in, is essential. This is an arcane, beautiful, deep idea, and could be, if handled correctly, and maybe we're part of that conversation. Please God, we are. So of saying, well, look, anyone who believes in that, who believes in America that much that they want to kill and die, should be allowed to, and let's make the military treat its service personnel in accordance with the valor and honor that they have offered to that institution.
Yeah, I would just add one thing, which is that I think part of the issue here, Jillian, to your point, is that because the trans thing has gone so crazy culturally and all the stuff about kids and everything else, even for anyone that's listening to this, that's, let's say, a little more conservative, that's like, oh, I do believe in individual rights and what Russell just made a great point about putting your life on the line, all those things. It's not a hill they're going to be willing to die on now, because the whole thing, the whole pool around the trans stuff has been so tainted, unfortunately, let's say, that I think it's just that this is going to pass. It already did pass. And I don't know if how they're going to get rid of everybody and everything else, but I think the ship has probably sailed.
I think it's unfortunate though, because I believe that when you have the inability to disseminate and find the nuance in these arguments, you're going to push everything back. The pendulum's going to swing the other way, and we're going to pay for that in 2 years. I'm telling you, when we lose Congress and AOC is going to be our friggin' president in 4 years, this is the kind of stuff that we really need to be thoughtful about. And this does validate the quote war on trans. It's one thing for us to talk about sterilizing children with off-label cancer drugs. That is barbaric and disgusting and outrageous and unacceptable, and we should fight to the death about it. But taking an individual who has hurt no one and is genuinely happy being trans as an adult and has made mature decisions and wants to fight for our country, it's the wrong move, I'm telling you. And if shit like this continues to happen, we're all going to pay for it. I'm telling you.
Well, maybe that's why we're sitting in these boxes doing this brand new show, right? To like make some sense out of all the madness. This might be the first, let's say, pilot episode of a show that one of the hosts actually disappeared before the end of. This is what they did to Suzanne Summers in Three's Company. She just disappeared one day. That's it. And then she could only phone in. Remember that last season of Three's Company?
Oh my gosh. Oh,
This section of the show we call Two Queers and a Rapist Discussing Trans in the American Military. Tune in next week to see why exactly Sage Steele had the dignity to leave.
And let's try one last thing to end us. Jillian, you are the newest of all the podcasters here. What do we do what do professional podcasters do at the end of the show to remind people so that they will tune in, et cetera, because we have a new channel here.
We're supposed to subscribe and like and comment and share because it helps us with the algorithm and we really appreciate it.
That was
Sage
actually
Steele, Russell
extremely
Brand, and
professional.
Jillian Michaels.
Very good.
Russell, send me those shoulder pads. Goodbye.